everyone, I'm really excited to be doing a collaboration video with an up-and-coming YouTuber. Her name is Zeyn. I will have her channel linked down below, of course. She reminds me a lot of Hannah Louise Poston. Her content is very similar. If you're into makeup low buys, no buys, how to use your products better, or how to just think smarter about your purchases or potential purchases and just utilizing and using what you already have, I think her channel is really going to explode this year. She is really right on trend right now, and I just see her channel going the way of Hannah's and just exploding over this year. She reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in collaborating with her, and I just was completely taken by her email, and we had agreed to do a different collaboration, which I wasn't able to go through with at this time because it was just a bit more of a lengthy process. But then we came up with this idea. This is mostly Zeyn's idea, and I'm very grateful that she wanted to include me on this and to do a collaboration with me still, because I couldn't do the more intensive one because I just didn't have the time to commit to it, although we will do it in the future. It's just on hold for now. I love videos like this. So we're talking about lessons we've learned about certain types of makeup that we won't be repurchasing. I've touched on this from time to time. I've mentioned certain things that I just don't like. There are certain things that kind of come up over and over and over again, and after playing with makeup for quite a few years, and specifically for me since I started my channel, which was 2014-ish. So it's been almost 5 years for me, and my makeup philosophies and my collection has changed. I've purchased a whole bunch of products, I've tried a whole bunch of things, and I've realized there's a few things I definitely don't like and things that I will avoid moving forward. I've just tried them enough. They're just things that will not work for me, or that I'm aware of why they don't work for me, at least not right now. So one of the first things I thought of, so I actually have a list here. The first thing I thought of was matte foundation and matte face primers. This is something I usually get sucked into because a lot of brands tend to release these matte products first. It tends to be the default when they're releasing like a new foundation range, and especially if it's a new brand, it tends to be like matte foundation, matte primer. And my skin has dried out quite a bit. It used to be kind of combination, and I could kind of get away with the more matte full coverage foundations, or so I thought, but it's also just a preference change as well. I've liked lighter coverage foundations. I haven't liked things that are as heavy, and I just don't find that matte foundation, matte primers sit as well on my skin anymore as they might have 5 years ago. I definitely leaned a lot towards the very full coverage, really heavy duty foundations, and I went through a phase where that's all I wanted. I just wanted that full caked on face thing, and it just doesn't work for me now because of the way that my skin is. It's nothing against the product itself, and that's kind of a general thing with these. It's like, it's not about the product themselves being bad, or that I'm saying they don't work for anybody. I'm just saying that they don't work for me personally, because obviously there's quite a few people who have oily skin who need the matte foundations and matte primers. It's just not for me. So why would I keep buying these things? A lot of the stockpile I have left of like foundations and primers, especially primers, it's all matte primers because I haven't been using them because my skin has been so dry that I put the matte primer on an already dry face, and it was just extra dry and just nothing sat right on top of it. So it's definitely been a lesson there that as much as I might like it, it just does not work for me. The second thing, so I'll just go through the list in the order that I thought of them. I have 6 things. It was scented lipstick, and I mean scented like L'Oreal lipsticks, very perfumey, not scented like MAC. So quite a few brands have some sort of scent to their lipstick. I don't mind MAC because it's vanilla, and vanilla is very safe. And even some of the Bite lipsticks I kind of enjoy, some of them that are more like citrusy, and they have such a really kind of sweet natural scent that appeals to me. But the perfumey stuff, which tends to be a lot of luxury brands and then also L'Oreal for some reason, which sucks because I actually really like L'Oreal's lipstick formula. I just can't stand the scent. And it's not something that seems to disappear after time, it just lingers. And of course, proximity to the nose from the lips means that you're smelling it constantly, and I'd find myself just taking it off. And I would even just smell some products, like when I get the lip sampler sets from Sephora and I'd smell like the YSL one, it's like I don't even want to have this on my face. I just don't know why they constantly have to infuse the fragrance. It's like a very signature thing, but I find it so irritating that I purposely avoid brands that I know have very perfumey, floral scented lipsticks, especially. Like sometimes I can deal with it with certain other products, like if a blush or something happens to have a little bit of a scent, which yeah, some of those luxury brands do, but you seem to only smell it for a second and then you blend it in and it goes away, as opposed to lipstick where it just stays as long as it's on your lips, and I just can't deal with it. It's just so irritating because I just can't handle very floral perfumey scents at all. I don't like wearing it. It just irritates me, and like, you know, I have that mild scent sensitivity, so I just avoid those. The third thing on my list is cream products, specifically in squeeze tubes. This is a more recent discovery for me, and I'm speaking sort of specifically about blush, contour, bronzer type products. I actually don't mind cream products anymore that are more in like a container, because I like to dip my brush into it lightly or at least get a little bit of product out. I feel like the control is better than with a squeeze tube. I'm horrible with squeeze tubes in general, and I don't really enjoy it when it comes to makeup because I feel like I overuse it. Also with products that you just sort of have to dump, like I did a get ready with me with this look, and I had this foundation, and it's not, there's no pump. You just dump it, and I feel like it's really difficult to measure things out, and that's the problem I have with squeeze tubes, is that I'd be squeezing the thing out onto the back of my hand, and I'd squeeze way too much out. And then you're wasting product, and you either have to just wipe it off and throw it out, or you're trying to apply way too much product, and that's a huge mess. That's something I've been trying to avoid, because I did that a lot when I was project panning. I just, you know, put 10 times the amount of product I would need or should really be wearing on my face. Like I just didn't need to wear that much, but I was piling it on because I wanted to use stuff up. And I just felt like it's just an excessive waste with squeeze tubes. I don't mind the cream products. I've been using stuff a little bit more, but I just generally prefer things that are easier to apply, either like in a stick form or in the pots. Like a cream blush in like a little pot or a pan can really give a very beautiful, subtle effect, and I've really enjoyed sort of playing with that with the little ones that I did have to play with. I don't have a lot of that stuff because it's not something that I ever really gravitated towards, but just something about a more natural makeup look. It was fun to play around with what I did have, but the squeeze tube products, I was just wasting so much product. And I did notice this before when I was panning things, but it felt good in a way because I was using them so quickly. So I was justifying it that way, even though it was a total waste of product, and I know to avoid those. The fourth thing I had is pressed foundation and powders in general. This goes back to sort of the matte foundation, matte primer thing. Powder foundations don't really work for me because my skin is fairly dry now, and it just ended up clinging to weird spots on my face. I don't powder very much because I don't feel like I need it. I like a very finely milled powder specifically for underneath my eye, like an under eye brightening powder. There's one from Becca that I really enjoyed that I will probably repurchase at some point, but that's really all I would need it for, to like set the concealer underneath my eyes or just set my under eye area in general, and maybe a light dust around my face or certain spots. But heavy pressed powders never really worked for me. It always just looked too heavy, too cakey on my face, and it never really looked natural. A loose powder, I felt like it was a little easier to control, that I could really apply just a tiny bit of product instead of really building it up with a pressed powder for some reason. I'd always find myself like scraping the pressed powder to kind of make it more of a loose powder because I just found it was so much easier to apply that way. So why buy something that's pressed if I'm going to scrape it to make it loose anyway? The fifth thing is colorful liquid eyeliners. So liquid eyeliners in general, especially the kind where, I'll use this as an example. Oh, actually, this is perfect. Except for this. This is a glitter liner. But you know the eyeliners that are like this, that have this little wand instead of being like a pen? This brush style does not work for me. I do not have anywhere near the skill or precision to use a eyeliner tool like that. I have a hard enough time with an eyeliner pen, and black is good enough. Truly, I'm not that adventurous with colorful liquid eyeliner. Some people do some really cool flicks and designs and stuff, and I never use my eyeliners that way. If I'm going for color, I like it in a pencil form because I like to put it in my waterline often. Like if I'm just want a little pop of color, I will use it in my waterline or maybe a little bit in the inner corner. And it's just easier to blend and work with, and it's more versatile, and the brighter colors just seem to work better for me. The colorful liquid liners are not something that I've really put to good use when I've had them. They tend to dry out on me, or I just would really use them sporadically and not really enjoy it because it's just not my style. It looks cool on a lot of people, and especially in a lot of Instagram posts where people do like the fine details with like the colorful liquid liner. It looks beautiful, truly art, but not for me. I'm not that kind of an artist. And the last thing that I've learned my lesson on is eyeshadow palettes that I love less than 90 to 95% of. It sounds very high, but it's true. When you look at how many pans of eyeshadow are in a palette, for me, I want to love everything. And if I don't love everything, then I really have to look at what I don't love and why, and if it's worth it, because things can start adding up when you actually really break it down and you look at, okay, I like this shadow, but I already have something similar. I like this shadow, but I have something similar. This one's unique. This one I'd never wear. There's certain types of shadows that I know now I just don't like. I don't use it. Certain deep shades that have glitter in it, you know, the matte shadow with the glitter in it that just ends up being like a chalky mess and glitter fallout. Like, I love metallics. I love deep metallic shades, but I like to see that smoothness, not just the chunky glitter that's really hard to translate on the eye unless you're putting it out on like a wide space. And even then, sometimes you can't even really see the glitter and it just looks weird. And I find that it doesn't even blend very well. It's very frustrating. There are certain shades that I just don't use that much of, like deep navy blue, even a matte shade like that. I just don't use it very often. If I'm doing something deep, it tends to be like a deep green or a black, maybe a brown. There's certain shades that I just skip over because I don't tend to wear them a lot. And then it's also about repetition. You want to have, I want to have enough variety that I'm not just wearing the same thing over and over again. Because that's one thing I've noticed now going through my eyeshadow palettes and rotating things around, that I have a lot of similarities, a lot of things overlap, and a lot of things end up looking similar. So when I want something different, it's hard to get that sometimes because the shadows end up applying sort of the same way. Obviously, formulas are different and there's a lot of variables there. But when it comes down to it, it can be really difficult to tell what palette you actually used. And for me, I have so much now that I don't need to buy things that are already similar or things that I don't like, because it just really adds up. And I've decluttered so much stuff where I had a palette with 20 shadows in it but really only loved 3 shades because I didn't evaluate it more carefully before I purchased it. A lot of the things I purchased were more impulse buys and things I purchased a couple of years ago before I actually learned all these lessons from panning palettes and project pan porn and just working on all this, you know, fun stuff that has taught me a lot about my makeup preferences. It's helped me a lot with my purchases, because like the last eyeshadow palette I purchased was the Natasha Denona Gold palette, which is one of my all-time favorite palettes now because I love every single shade in it. And I was very careful when I made that purchase, and I knew how much I was gonna love it before it was even in my hands. Like, I took a gamble on the formula, whether or not that would be what I love, but the whole color scheme, every single shadow, was a shadow I was going to use. So anyway, that is my video on lessons I've learned, makeup types I will not be repurchasing. Make sure to go check out Zeyn's channel and her video down below. Go send her some love and tell her that Elle sent you. And sorry, my camera just ran out of space and I have almost no memory left on this card. So I just want to wrap this up by saying, let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope we get a chance to chat soon. Bye for now.